Good morning, everybody. Today we have a grammar lesson, and its title is comparing with good. It's on page 122, and we also be discussing page 122, which is comparing with bad. Comparing with good, good, as you may know, that good is an adjective, and when we compare it, we have two options. We have better and best. Better for comparing two things or two items or two people or two groups, and best when we compare good to when we compare one thing to more than one option. So good is an adjective. The comparative for two things or two groups or two items is better. The comparative for more than one thing, for more than two things or groups or whatever, is the best. As mentioned here, better to compare two things, two people, two places, two places, whatever. And best is to compare more than two places, groups, things, whatever. As it's mentioned in the weekly plan, sorry, as you can see here in the weekly plan, okay, here, we will be discussing page 121, 122. I will be answering questions from 1 to 4 in those two pages, and you will be answering from 5 to 6 as your homework. Yeah. Generally speaking, students, when I'm comparing two things using good, in this case, I will be using better, and 90% of the options after better, I will have than, because I'm comparing two things. So I will be saying better than. And also in 90% of the cases, when I have comparison using best, I will be having the before it. Okay, because I'm comparing it to more than one option, to more than two options. And let us see it. This is a better meal than the one we had last night. Because I'm comparing two things, this meal to the one we had last night, so I'm using better. So comparison between two things, as mentioned here, comparison between two things, we use better. But when I compare more than two things, I will be using best. If I'm comparing three students, for example, I say Ali is the best student in the group. So I have group of more than two options, and Ali is the best one of them. So I'm using best one. But if I'm comparing two students, I'm saying, for example, Ali is better than Rami in math. So I'm comparing Ali and Rami. In this case, I will be using that. This painting has the best, as I told you, when we have than after the space. So most probably we have better, and if we have the before the space, most likely we'll be having best. But to have a precise measurement for this, you have to look for whether they are two options or more than two options. If they are two options, you will be comparing two things. In this case, you'll have better, and you have more than one option. You'll be comparing more than two things. And in this case, you'll be using best. So this painting has the best frame in the art gallery. In the art gallery, we have many paintings with many frames. So I'm comparing one thing to more than one, to more than two things. In this case, I'll be using best. Michael is the. So once you see the, so most likely you'll be using best. But let us make sure of it. Michael is the best singer of everyone. Everyone is more than two. In this case, uh, I'll be using best because it is comparing more than two. So is the best. Uh, you can say that the and than, when that comes before the space, it's a kind of supporting indication that your answer is correct. It is best. And when you have than after the space, most likely you'll be having better. Uh, tigers are swimmers than lions. Here I'm comparing two groups. Yeah, I have lions, it's more than two, but in general, I'm comparing two groups. In this case, when I'm comparing two groups or people or places, I will be using better. So tigers are better, better swimmers than lions. Why did I choose better, not best, although I have more than two things, more than two, which are the lions, because in general, I'm comparing two groups. I'm not comparing individuals, but I'm comparing two groups, the group of tigers and the group of lion. In this case, I have two things, two groups, okay? That's why I'm using better. Tigers are better swimmer than, and in addition, I have than, which gives you an additional support that your answer should be better. Now let's go to page 122, which is comparing with bad. I will be taking you there. I think it is here. Yeah, here is it. Although bad is a different case, but it has the same principle of good. Uh, Maybe using the blue for bad. The adjective good becomes better, okay, or best when it's used to compare. The adjective bad becomes worse or worst. In comparing two things, I will be using worse of bad. In comparing more than two things, or two groups, or two people, I will be using worse. And as I told you with the good, uh, when we compare two things, afterwards we will have than, and when we have comparison uh, for more than two things, before worst we will have that. Yeah. So worst is used to compare two people, as we said it with the good, two in general, two, whether they are people, places, or things, or groups, or whatever. Worst is used when we compare more than two. Okay, let's go through the exercises. As we said before, also on this page we'll be answering 4 questions and we'll keep the rest for you as homework. Write words or worst to correctly complete each sentence. The rainy weather created conditions than before. So I have rainy weather, option 1, and before, which is option 2. In this case, how shall I answer this one? So first, I'm comparing two things. So when I'm comparing two things, most likely, or I must choose worse, this is one. And another additional supportive assurance for this is that I'm using that, which means I have to compare two things. And when I compare two things or two places or two groups, I have to be using worse. So worse is the correct answer for this question. The rainy weather created worse conditions than before. Monday is always the day of the week for me. So I'm comparing Monday to the days of the week. So I have more than one day in the week. So I'm comparing Monday to many days in the week. So in this case, I'm comparing more than two, and I will be using worst. Additionally, I have that before it. So Monday is the worst day of the week for me. As you know, in the western part of the world, they start the week with Monday. So the first day to go to school, to go to work in the week is Monday because their weekend is Saturday and Sunday, and Monday is the first day of the week. It's like Sunday for us here in Saudi Arabia. I am a cook than my mother. I'm comparing myself, number one, to my mother, which is number two. So when I'm comparing two things or two people here I'm comparing two people. So what should I use? I will be using worst, which is the comparative form of bad. Another another hint that may help you to make sure that your answer is correct is that you are using there is than. So worse than. So I am a worse cook than my mother. Let's move to number four. Um, the plant has a fungus than I thought. So I'm comparing what the plant has to what I thought. So I have two options, what the plant has and what I thought. So I'm comparing two things. Second, I'm having than. So in this case, when I'm comparing two things, as you may know that while comparing two things or two places or two people, I have to use worse. Additionally, I have than, which gives you another indication that it is worse, not the worst. So it is worse. The plant has a worse fungus than I thought. This is what we um, have today about comparing good and bad. So good and bad could be compared, could be used to compare things. Uh, Good gives better and best, and bad gives worse and worst. Better is for comparing two things, and worse and best for comparing more than two or more. Also for bad, worse for comparing two or more things or people or places or groups, and worse for comparing more than two. I hope you understand my lesson today, and I wish you send me the homework, which is this page 122, 122 from 5. Please answer from 5 to 10 and send me it through Class Dojo. And also for page 121, also answer questions from 5 to 10 and send them through Class Dojo through the private messaging so that I can check your homework and send you the answers. Thank you so much and see you later. Thank you.